Hi there, welcome to Tarot Soap Opera. Today I'm going to do a reading for Sagittarius energy, and we're going to do two rows like usual. We all have our dualistic nature. We have to make decisions in our life, and the top row can kind of represent what we'd like to do in our life, and the bottom row could represent our comfort zone. It can also represent our fears and our insecurities, and we'd have to work through those things. And so that's where some people could be at. Some people could be at that stage of life all their life. While some people are debating within themselves, some people made a decision. Some people did decide to move forward in life a little differently. The truth kind of sets us free. We heal, we grow, we mature, we deal with our fears, our insecurities, and then that kind of sets us free. We've worked through it, and it no longer manipulates us, and we can move forward in life thinking or feeling a little differently than we did before. And while some people did that, some other people decided to keep doing what they were doing. And at any stage of life that we're at, are we kind of ready to move forward a little differently? Are we not? We as human beings have free will. We have our intuition that kind of tells us, I think you've kind of learned everything you needed to learn here. Just like we did age 18 to 21 to 25, for example. Am I going to keep staying living like an 18-year-old? I might, because I might lack confidence in myself and believing in my dreams, because the Two of Wands and the Four of Wands are both Aries energy, fire sign energy. The Two of Wands can be about our dreams, and the Four of Wands can kind of be firing on all four cylinders. And sometimes we're not firing on all four cylinders because the Four Wands, the way I kind of view them in tarot, we have the four suits of the deck: the heart, the mind, the worldly nature, the creative, inspired nature. Maybe we kind of put a lot of work and effort into some areas of our life, but we kind of neglected other areas of our life, and so that's not really our strong suit. But if we're inspired within ourself, because Aries energy is about the self, if we're inspired within ourself that I can start investing in some of those things that I maybe didn't invest that much time, energy, and effort into growing and maturing like I did other areas, I can do that. You have hope and faith and belief in yourself. So, for some of the people who did that, from the Four of Wands down to the One Wand is letting go of the Three of Wands. We had an old way of living life and an old dream, just like when we were 18. That was like we were trying to manifest living life and being happy, being like an 18-year-old. And then when we're kind of ready to go to the next phase of life, we kind of let go of that dream because we're kind of completed that phase of life. And so then we look forward to investing, of being independent of it. The Seven of Pentacles can talk about investing, and the Nine of Pentacles can talk about becoming independent of an old way of living life and viewing life. And every phase of life that we're at, once we kind of move forward, we could have loved that phase of life and things about it, kind of is what the Five of Cups can talk about. That we could be sad to let go of some of those aspects of life, phases of life, job, friendships, or relationships that we had. But once we become independent of it, if you really kind of heal and grow and mature yourself, you'd kind of view that as your more immature self when you move forward from it. And you kind of like, I won't want to go back to that. It doesn't mean there might not be certain people or friendships, or, if we get back at a job, maybe that we had to leave for some reason, that we wouldn't go back to it. But it's more a way of thinking, believing, how we feel about ourselves, how we view ourselves, how we view the world. That aspect of ourself isn't the same. Because there could have been something that for quite a while between the Seven and the Nine of Pentacles is the Two of Pentacles. And the Two of Pentacles can be that we were kind of going back and forth, like, well, I don't know, should I do this? Should I do that? And it's taking that time to kind of get clear about, and the Pentacles can be kind of our truth and where we're at in our life. at different stages of life. So, was that my truth at one point in time, just like when I was 18? Yeah, I was living the life of an 18-year-old, just as a way for us to relate to it, right? But then when we kind of started to invest in being more like a 21-year-old, did any of us really? I mean, there could be little things like, gee, I liked it when I didn't have to have a job, or I liked it when I used to be able to stay at home and I didn't have to pay bills. But, we can feel in a way proud of ourselves. Each one of the pentacles can also be like lessons that we've learned, and at each stage of life, it's kind of like, hopefully, if we learn these lessons and we grow and heal and mature ourselves, we kind of feel more stable and grounded and proud of ourselves. That, I went through a phase of life. That was great. There could be things about it I miss. But, you know, it's continuing to have this dream. And each one of these phases of life that we go through are like a stepping stone to us growing kind of to our full potential. It's not the end. Again, it's just like, who wanted to stay 18 all their life, or just stay 21 and live the life of a 21-year-old all your life? You might have done that because you did let more of your fear or your insecurity or your immature nature or something kind of run your life, right? And so when we kind of become independent, it's kind of like we went through a phase of life down here in the bottom row where we can go through this phase, kind of when our intuition is telling us, our fire sign energy is telling us it's time to move forward. You kind of learned everything you needed to learn here. And in the Seven of Swords, we have mental conflict about it. And the Seven of Swords is Aquarius energy, and Aquarius energy, like the Two of Wands, can talk about, but I had this dream. It's like, yeah, you did. And you kind of did it, but now if you keep kind of living and thinking and feeling that way and keep doing it, it might be because you don't want to face your fears, is what the Devil can talk about. And the King of Pentacles can talk about growing and maturing yourself. And, if we're not ready yet, we'll probably keep doing that. And, we all can look back at our life at different stages of our life. How long did it take us to quit a job that really, we had been there too long and it was time to go? Or friendships or relationships, right? And it's really hard to go because what if we move forward in life a little differently and some of the people that we would like to have move forward with us don't want to do that? And they still want to keep doing this. Well, then it's much harder, We have those friendships, we have those relationships. Even if a person was going to move, or like, I'm going to go to college, like back in the day, if people did that. And other people are like, oh, no, I'm not going to do that, or I'm going to keep staying at this job. It's like, oh, you should come with me. And they're like, you know. And sometimes we were the ones who were in this energy, and some people could be now. And other people in our life are kind of being more bold and brave and confident, and maybe work through some of their fears and insecurities and self-limiting beliefs, and to be more independent, and we're not. And sometimes in our life, we were the ones who were more independent, a little more bold and brave and confident, and some other people in our life weren't. And, we keep kind of going through these cycles with people. Sometimes we go through many cycles with people, and we all keep kind of moving forward together, just like you can have long-term friendships, get along with people in your workplace, your neighborhood, your family. But then I think a big thing that can happen eventually is that, we do get to some maybe core foundational truth. We were able to maybe work through all the other things with people, but then there's that last one, and then that can be the hard one. And There can come a time in people's life again where in their fire sign energy, and Sagittarius is fire sign energy, initially we can be pretty more codependent, and that can be this here. We've all been more codependent. We've all been more inspired by the world. Both the devil and the Six of Pentacles can kind of represent all these things of the world. We could be more codependent on our friendship group. We could be more codependent on our family. We could really have a hard time believing in ourselves to leave a job, to go find another job or something, right? Or moving or anything like that. Getting out of one relationship to even get in friendships or relationships with anyone else just because, well, we do know these people and I know how to work with these people. And the bottom row can represent, it keeps us in our comfort zone. So sometimes, well, let's stay where I was going here. In our fire sign energy, for the first 30 to 50 years, we can be pretty caught up in the world and the worldly dream. I'm really focused. There's these things I want to indulge in. That, I think, would be like living the dream. And we can indulge our more immature nature. It's, a lot of people kind of work through that when they're younger, maybe by the time they're 25 to 30. And some other people maybe never had that opportunity. So then when they get older, kind of, if they feel like they didn't have that opportunity, and they might not be listening to their intuition, and they got some lessons to learn, some of those people, even when they're older, are going to go learn some lessons in life that they didn't learn maybe when they were younger. But we also can be more caught up in the world. And sometimes some people are really focused on their career. Nope, I'm not going to get in a more serious relationship. I got to go to college. I got to put work and effort to get my stability and work up in my career field. Then I would maybe consider not continuing to make that the priority in my life because I am missing out on, and Scorpio energy can talk about having more deep, meaningful relationships. And some people could have had a fear of the King and Queen of Pentacles as the only married through the deck, but it can also represent jobs and careers and all that stuff. And just taking on more responsibility. Quit being more about ourself, because Aries energy, again, is about the self. And shadowy Aquarius energy can kind of be being more about ourself. I'm not sure if we really want to have to make our life about having to take other people into consideration. Maybe not wanting to get in a more formal commitment. Maybe not wanting to get married. Some people eventually might work through that. And shadowy Scorpio can be where it is kind of more emotionally shallow and superficial. For the people who really make their life about their job and their career and their money and their status and their image and their power or their body or their physique or their looks or something, social clout, I don't know. They might be really caught up in those things, and that can kind of be how they do define their worth and value, and that can be what makes them feel valuable. And then some people who really did put a lot of work and effort, some people naturally could be bright, smart, attractive, charming, fun to be around or something, right? Other people, they could be too, but they could put a lot of work and effort to have a certain status or image in the world. And that can be shadowy Taurus energy, which anyone can harness some more shadowy Taurus energy. That if I put in that work and effort to have a certain status or image in the world, I think that there will be other people. The devil can mean that people will be attracted to me because they want to be in a relationship, or if I put a lot of work and effort to have a certain education, There will be employers who will want to invest in me because they view me as having these resources of the world that they want, if it's a job or if it's like a relationship partner. I have some of these traits and characteristics that I've put a lot of work and effort into having. And I think other people, maybe in shadowy energy, I think people will indulge me in a relationship. And that's shadowy energy. And some people are more emotionally shallow and superficial. And some people want to be more about themselves. Some people are more about themselves. Some people are more caught up still in the world, regardless. Some people can be that way all their life. The most important thing is that it either be about me and people indulge me in a relationship, and I want to be about me and I want to be bossy or controlling or prideful or egotistical or whatever. And it has to be more about me. That's their idea of the dream life. And other people could be, I'm more about the status and the ego and the image, and that's the most important thing. But it also, shadowy energy, is it has to be a little bit more about me. I will be the privileged, pampered person in the relationship in some shape or form. And of course, they think that's just and fair because they're kind of shadowy and they haven't grown up and matured themselves. They might have status, ego, image, attractiveness, charm, social clout, but it's not. They might look like an emotionally mature, stable, grounded, loving person, even, but they're really kind of shadowy. It's just that other people don't know that. And shadowy people can sometimes try to tempt people. The devil's about tempting people to try to get people to get themselves invested in them. And hopefully, in the Seven of Swords, not listen to their intuition. Because your intuition is a gift that you've been given. We are part of the animal kingdom, and just like bats have sonar and birds and butterflies know to fly to a warmer climate when the weather changes for the season, they don't question it. They don't even know why. It's really interesting if you were to look up monarch butterflies migrating to Mexico. The the birds migrate to Mexico from North America, and then they fly up here. They have babies and the parents die. So all of the butterflies that migrate back to Mexico have never been there. Can you imagine a little butterfly that flies around your yard? I know I'm like 2,000, 2,500 miles away from the border of Mexico, and these butterflies are all flying down to Mexico, and they're kind of like, what the fuck? Why am I compelled to keep flying, in this direction? They don't question it. They do it. It's like, but theirs is more instinct and kind of more programmed in them. But we as human beings have free will, and pride comes before the fall. And in our Seven of Swords, which is air sign energy of the mind, we kind of think we're so smart. It's kind of like, even if our intuition is telling us, I don't think you should do this. I don't think this is going to turn out the way you want. Like, yeah, but I really want to go do it. So we go do it. And then it probably doesn't turn out the way we wanted, Because our intuition is like that gift given to us of our like higher nature, higher self, our higher consciousness that tries to let us know, it's not yapping in our ear all the time, but we've probably all had those life experiences where it's kind of like you're thinking of doing something and that, like your more stable, grounded, mature self is like, I don't think this is a good idea. I don't think we should do this. You should go home. And we consider that or doing this, and because we decide to invest in our more immature nature of self, don't want to see the truth, don't want to listen to our intuition, because in the Seven of Swords, the Five, the Six, and the Seven of Swords are all Aquarius energy. I have this dream. But we either listen to our intuition in the Two of Swords, or we don't want to see the truth in the Two of Swords. And we've all got lessons to learn, and we've all been more immature, lustful, greedy, prideful, and had lessons to learn. Things didn't turn out the way we wanted. But high vibe people are inspired to keep having hope and faith and belief in themselves. And high vibe Virgo is about, well, this is Virgo, this is Capricorn. This is Capricorn. I can keep doing that, and I can keep repeating an old pattern over and over and keep staying in denial of the truth. This really isn't working out the way I want. Well, how long are we going to keep doing that? We might do it for a long time because we got some lessons to learn about loving ourselves and believing in ourselves and kind of knowing our worth and value and getting out of our ego to admit that we had lessons to learn. And sometimes we can get in relationships with other people and you could be just and fair and loving, but are you indulging other people in poor behavior? And the devil looks just like the Lover's card, except instead of an angel there's a devil. And the people in the devil card have chains and shackles on them. It's kind of codependent or confining or limiting or immature or imprisoning, or maybe you're not being more independent of your more worldly, shadowy, codependent, immature, egoic nature. And the bottom row can just be that we're kind of tipped out of balance because we have these lessons to learn, and we'll go off on this journey. Oh my gosh, but I love them, so our heart runs our life. And it kind of tips our life out of balance because we make that so important. It's kind of like the other three aspects of ourself. Oh, those are less important. This is what's most important. Or people who could make the pentacle suit, the things of the world most important. They kind of get tipped out of balance and make that the most important thing, which again is more about money, status, ego, image, or things they want to, in the world they want to indulge in. And then other three aspects in their life can kind of go in the toilet. Or we can live from our mind and our defensive nature, and the other three aspects kind of go in the toilet. Firing on all four cylinders in Aries energy means we're starting to get it, that we have these four aspects to ourself: our heart, our mind, our 3D nature, our creative, passionate, intuitive, loving nature. They're all equally important because they're all a part of us. And to think, oh, that's not important, I don't really got to invest in that. That can be a part of ourself that stays more immature. We could know people who are more emotionally immature, who thought kind of learning to connect in with their emotions and their feelings. And that's what high vibe Scorpio can be about, exploring the mysteries of life, but emotionally. And it starts within ourselves. We're all emotionally complex human beings. And some people are like, yeah, it's just too confusing. I don't want to put in the work and effort to work through my emotional confusion or all my feelings or my past pain and heartbreak or my self-limiting beliefs, or I think I can live more from my mind than my heart. I'll be good. That's unimportant. Well, then they get in relationships, but they're kind of people who aren't very connected in with their emotions. How are you going to have a deep, meaningful relationship with someone who doesn't even have kind of like a deep, meaningful relationship with themselves or know themselves? I know one time I Googled, because somewhere I'd heard somebody say something about probably some quotes. So I Googled quotes, know yourself. And, I think one of them was like, know yourself, know the world. The more you know yourself and learn lessons about yourself, and that's high vibe Virgo, What is it that really drives and motivates me? Why do I do the things I do? Why have I done the things I've done? Why did I act this way? Why did I get triggered in my fear and my insecurity? And why did I indulge people in poor behavior? Why did I indulge myself in poor behavior? You know, the more you know yourself, for one, you see the truth, and it can kind of free you. The difference between harnessing a more shadowy Capricorn energy within yourself or a more high vibrational Capricorn energy, where when you know more and understand yourself, you have grown and matured yourself, and you're less about deceiving yourself, living in denial, indulging your more immature nature. But the thing is, in your fire sign energy, you'd have to be inspired to even want to do that. To become, in high vibe Virgo, independent, because you don't want to keep repeating those same patterns. Like, damn. And that's high vibe Sagittarius. High vibe Sagittarius is higher learning and education. I'm going to wrap my brain around this game of life. And if I've been doing something that I thought was going to work out the way I wanted, and whatever it is I do, or the type of people I'm attracted to, or the way I think or feel, and because we have free will on what thoughts and emotions we choose to sit in every day. It's not to ignore them, but do I have to wallow in them? If they're, can I have high vibe energies about balance? You know, can I have sad thoughts? Can I have negative thoughts? Can I offset those with more loving thoughts, more loving feelings, more encouraging feelings? So high vibe energy is being tipped more in favor of your more high vibrational nature, to learn how to like be a good parent to yourself, a good mother, father, coach voice to yourself, because otherwise we can keep staying more codependent, looking to other people or the world to love us, make us feel better, do that work for us and provide that, but that makes us codependent on them. High vibe energy is being more independent. I know how to temper myself, uh, work through this within myself. Can I have friends and family that I want to talk things through with and enjoy their company and be loving and supportive people in my life? Yes, but I also know how to do it within myself. And I've invested in myself, and I've invested in my own creative, inspired, hopeful, believing, loving nature. Again, we can be a harsh, critical voice within ourselves, and we can belittle and berate ourselves all day. And we don't control the world, and the whole world could do that. We can join in the chorus with them. Or we could say, you know what? I guess I am the manager of my life and I am my only client. Am I going to invest in being loving and encouraging myself? Quit going back and forth about doing that or looking for other people to do that. And I'm going to do it. And Virgo talks about doing this inner work within ourself. What are my fears and my insecurities and my self-limiting beliefs? What are all these thoughts that I have in my head? Who put those thoughts in my head? Maybe I put those in my head at one point in time. Maybe someone else did. Is that still true today? Am I still that same person? Do I believe that's still true? And the other night, I kind of referenced this lady before, but haven't mentioned her for a long time. But there's this lady, and you can Google her on YouTube, and her name is Byron. Weird, kind of different name for a female. Byron, and her last name is Katie. But she was married and had these kids, but she was really unhappy and angry. And, it didn't seem to really have any rhyme or reason, I don't think. But she knew she was kind of being pretty awful and felt really miserable. And so she ended up trying to go somewhere to get some help. And anyway, now she's kind of written this book. Well, she's written probably a couple books, but it really was about questioning your own thoughts, because so much of our life is based on what we think is true, or, true about ourselves or not true about ourselves, or how we view other people. Is everybody awful people? No. We live in a world of duality, but we did have a lot of lessons to learn. And we come in contact with all these people to help us get more clear about what our truth is and what our truth isn't. When we see that people, it's like, you seem to be kind of shadowy. Are you willing to see the truth of it? Or do we keep, because of some past pain and heartbreak, like, no, you have to like me. Oh no, I'm going to keep making you try to like me. And they keep showing us that they're going to be rude or dismissive or bossy or controlling or manipulative or unkind or abusive. Why do we repeat that pattern? Why don't we become independent of that pattern? And we need to see the truth of it. And part of it can be it's kind of in our comfort zone. We're used to dealing with people like that. How long are we going to do that where it's like, screw that? I could invest in more immature people. I could invest in people more out of fear and insecurity or status or ego or image. What about being inspired by love? How about being in relationships with people who've worked through their issues? Because in the Five of Cups, we can either be focused more on the past or we can align in our free will with our more hopeful, believing, loving nature. But we'd maybe have to be inspired to offer truth and love to those issues, to work through them and see the truth of them. I've been a more immature, blah, blah, blah type of person. Other people have too. Some people still are. Some people learn more lessons than other people. Some people didn't. Some people might be shadowy all their life. Well, they're going to kind of manifest a certain life and have certain kind of people in their life that's going to be different than people who did work through their issues, did temper their ego, had more hope and faith and love, became more independent of those more immature or shadowy or prideful or materialistic or self-indulgent ways of being. There's perks to investing in loving and believing in ourselves. And then high vibe energy is also getting more balanced. So you could also look at the Two of Wands in a way that, like, I do have this dream. Kind of in my worldly nature, I do want these things of the world just like other people want. But what is our kind of anchoring inspiration? And that's when people are like, I'm not going to let myself tip out of balance, making decisions more out of my want for these things of the world, get all up in my head, get in my fear, my insecurities. I'm going to have hope and faith and belief in myself and invest in myself and invest in my dreams. I have to align with that energy and stand up for my truth and then go to see if there's other people in the world on that same page. And the people who aren't, good riddance. We can be a little sad. It's like, gee, I found you cute, or I liked you. But, if they're back here saying, well, I would do a relationship with you, but you have to give that up. Because in free will, we have to make these decisions. Something has to be sacrificed. And some of the other people have already sacrificed being more inspired by truth and love and growing and maturing themselves and becoming independent and let their more shadowy or worldly nature, immature nature, or whatever manipulate them. And some of those people are like, well, do you like me? Are you attracted to me? Do you want these things? I'm counting on it because I'm not going to do that. And it's like, you know what? I'm going to let you go do that with someone else. And I'm going to do this. And then those people and the devil, they can be angry. Because they really wanted you to live your life the way they live their life. Whatever manipulates them, let it manipulate you. And it's like, but I've kind of already been there and done that. Again, it's kind of like somebody's like, it's like somebody asking you, come on, let's go back and live like 18-year-olds. Let's go live like 21-year-olds. Let's go back and act like ninth graders because maybe they do. And it's like, I've already been there. I don't want to do that again. Oh, that's interesting. If in high vibe, the pentacle is like truth and love. If we offer truth and love to our regrets of the past in the Six of Cups, it can mean that we make peace with some of these issues from our past. And the sixes can talk about being more balanced within ourselves because there are 12 zodiac signs. And the sevens are kind of the tipping point. Am I going to be, because all these aspects within ourself, kind of in a subconscious level, kind of debate. And we sometimes consciously are debating it within ourselves. And the sevens are kind of the tipping point, the majority rules. And that's kind of funny too, because in this case, it's Taurus energy, and Taurus is like the Supreme Court in our head. It's like we go debate within ourselves, and whatever is the end conclusion in our Taurus energy, it kind of dictates the actions that we take in our life. And some people said, I am going to offer truth and love to these issues from my past to come to a place of peace about the past. Offering truth and love is the answer. That's what will help me make peace with the past. And then I've also kind of, in the cups energy, these are kind of like minor arcana. This is more of a, what do they call it? A court card, a more mature energy. You move forward, and Pisces energy of the nine. Also, Scorpio's fixed sign energy. It can be hard to get out of things that we've emotionally invested in. Pisces is a mutable sign that we tap into to help us transition out of things. Take the lesson we were meant to learn. There were things about it I didn't like, that I maybe thought were unjust or unfair or unkind or immature, or more about the world instead of, high vibe Scorpio, of a more balanced and more deep, meaningful relationship. And Pisces can talk about our dreams also. So Aquarius and Aries and Pisces can talk about our dreams that we have. But Pisces also talks about listening to your intuition versus getting caught up in your head. Like, well, this would seem logical and practical, though. Gee, and it seems like maybe I should do that. It's like, well, what does your inner child say? What does your more hopeful, believing, loving nature say? And then when you do that, you move swiftly forward. Sagittarius is the Eight of Wands, and Sagittarius is also a mutable sign. Helps us transition out of things. And we take that cup of love. I want to be happy with people who choose love, not a more, it looks like love, it quacks like love, there could be love there, but it's not moving forward in high vibe Leo energy, being motivated and inspired by love. Sometimes we get in some more mismatched relationships where one person can kind of be more motivated and inspired by love, but the other person's like, that's great, you be that way and I'm going to be this way. Well, it's kind of, how do you bring a dream into reality if their truth and what they're motivated and inspired by isn't the same? You want to do this and keep like growing and healing and maturing yourself and freeing yourself from your more immature nature, codependent nature, past pain and heartbreak. And they're like, that all takes work and effort. I'm okay. I'll keep doing this. But then it impacts how they act and the decisions that they make, how they react, because all those things still manipulate them. The past pain and heartbreak, the immaturity, the defensiveness, the pride, the ego, other people in their life, the world. Instead of being more independent of those things and, kind of seeing that the truth is I should offer love and I should humble myself and work together with people in a more just and fair and loving way. And some people, they don't want to do that. For some, they don't even want to do truth and love. I want to be in it. I want to indulge myself in it. I love being in a relationship. Love all the perks that come. Enjoy relationships. But I like to live more from my mind than my heart. And I might kind of indulge myself in my immature ways of thinking or logic and reasoning. But hey, I guess, if you're willing to settle for being in a relationship with me and doing it my way, hey, that works for me. This is my idea of the dream life. This works for me. Well, of course it works for them. They could have people in their life who are loving and just and fair and encouraging and aren't acting like them. But the high vibe people in their life are not in a relationship with someone who is like them. Their dream is not going to come into reality, and that's when people kind of reconcile themselves with the truth that my dream can't come into reality with those people because they harness their Sagittarius energy in a more immature way instead of being inspired by love to become independent of loving their more defensive or egoic nature. I need to go find people who have kind of learned some of the same lessons I've learned and are more inspired to take that cup of love and align with their more hopeful believing nature. That's who I can have my dream come into reality with. But us, kind of in our pride and ego, is kind of like, no, God, but I wanted it to be them. God's like, yeah, they're not doing that. It's like, I know, but I want it to be them. They've got free will. I know, but I want it to be them. Change them. It's like, the only person we can change is ourselves. They all have free will. And if that's what they chose to invest in, that's kind of more what the priority in their life is. Some people decided a long time ago, I don't want to be more just and fair in a relationship. I don't want to do love. I get hurt doing love. I want to make it more about me. I want to make it more about the ego and the image and the status. What are some shadowy people hiding from people in the world right now that they don't want people to know about? Judgment. You know? And that's kind of interesting because the judgment card is kind of calling judgment on our fixed sign energy, which Taurus and Aquarius are fixed sign energy. We have this way of living life and viewing life and these things that drive and motivate us that make us think this is living the dream life, or it should be more about me, or this is the most important things. And judgment card is calling judgment on our fixed sign energy to be willing to learn lessons in life, grow and heal and mature ourselves, to keep growing and healing and maturing ourselves. And sometimes on the channel, I kind of talked about it like if we were to equate human beings to an apple tree, an apple tree doesn't have free will. So an apple tree, goes through these phases of growth and then kind of maturing at that stage of life. And then it has like another growth spurt and it puts its time, energy, and effort into growing. And then it'll stay at that phase and then it'll fill out its branches and its branches will get bigger. And it'll go through several seasons, just like we go through several stages of life to kind of grow to our full potential. And so an apple tree can grow to maybe 35 feet and make 1,000 apples. I really don't know how many apples they make, but it's a lot. I used to have an apple tree. But we as human beings have free will. And we're like, man, I have grown to like 15 feet and I have like 25. That was us when we were 18. Hey, man, I got $10 in my pocket. I am rich, and I know these things and I am so smart. And we could stay there all our life and kind of stay in denial of the truth that we still have growing and maturing to do. And then we can go to the next stage of life. Maybe we do work through that and we move forward a little bit. But some people are more reluctant to change than other people. And in our life, we might have people in our life and our peer group where we had to move forward with some people and put some more immature ways behind us just to keep up with our peer group. But then some people could get, boy, when I turned 25 and I have moved out of home and I have gotten a job and I am in a relationship, that's it. I'm done. No more changing and growing and healing and maturing for me. And other people get in relationships with them and they're like somebody who grew to 15 feet, maybe can make 50 apples, and then they're like, I'm good. And really, everybody has free will to live their life whatever way they want. We've all been at these different stages. Some of us are more motivated and inspired by others. Some of us are more driven than others. I could know needless people who, I'd like it to more go with the flow. Am I really driven to want to necessarily have? I mean, it's nice to have all those things in the world, but, again, there's a price to be paid. And it's like, um, just some people are more driven and motivated. I don't mind doing my job and enjoying my job, but what? I'd have to work 60 hours a week? Yeah, no, I don't want to work 60 hours a week. I'm okay with less, and other people are like, oh my gosh, yes, and I'm gonna, whatever. But I'm just equating it to where human beings could grow to like 15 feet, make 50 apples. And it's like, why don't you go to 35 feet and you'd have more than plenty to give away? And some people would be like, why would I want to give away anything? I have enough for me. I'm good. And that can be where I don't really want to invest in others. And that can be kind of a shadowy Capricorn energy that people can harness. I don't want to open up. I don't really want to give to people. And part of that could be because they don't know how to fill their own cup emotionally. And they look to other people to fill their cup emotionally. Other people could look to people to more financially invest in them. People have different things that people want. Can it be an equal balance? Maybe someone has more of things of the world and someone else is a more loving, nurturing person. Together, they can come together, and some person brings that more creative, inspired, loving nature. The other person might have more financial instability. Can that work? It can, so long as they're both at a core foundational level, both value and appreciate what the other person brings to the table, and equally inspired by truth and love. Otherwise, it just stays a more mismatched codependent relationship. And generally, the people who have more power, social clout, and even people who could just be more attractive, they could think, well, if you don't indulge me and do it more my way, I can go find someone else. It's like, and then it can be where people are trying to manipulate people because they know they want those things of the world, want the relationship to keep working, or they love them and they use the love that they have for them to manipulate them. And that's kind of the truth we don't want to see about some people in our life, that they kind of use the fact that we would like to keep being in a friendship with them, whether it's our adult child, brother, sister, mom, dad, friends. But then they kind of want to be kind of immature. Aren't you going to put in more work and effort into this relationship? I want what you bring, but I don't want to give you as much of whatever I could bring, or I don't want to do equal give and take. Some high vibe people are firing on all four cylinders. They have a dream and they are going to take action to their dream, to invest in knowing their worth and value, and no more going back and forth, accepting the truth. I need to invest in myself and invest in my dream. If I have communicated to some people on my way, and if some of those people seem to be, I don't know, I'm still going back and forth, or I think I'm going to keep doing this, like, okay, I can only work with people who are willing to work with me. Can I know lots of people and get along with all sorts of people? Yeah. But I have a dream I want to bring into reality. It's kind of like everybody else kind of stays in the friend zone. But I'm only going to invest more in people who I think are more independent and have learned some of the same lessons I've learned. And you probably have some people in your life that you are moving forward with in that energy. And those are the people, you can always, as you keep moving forward, and when you meet people that are kind of more shadowy and they're like harnessing this energy in a more shadowy way, and they might want to invest in you, and you're like, I don't know, my intuition is telling me that you might look like you are more mature. And I kind of think that's not really what drives and motivates you. And I think that's like a false mask that you wear. And I'm going to listen to my intuition out of standing up for my foundation of self. And doesn't mean the pages can be that you don't have to say anything in a harsh way or a rude way. It's just basically you don't get more involved with them. The pages can just be these friendly things of getting to know people. You can still know them, but you're listening to your intuition. Yeah, I'm not investing more in you. You can move on and go find someone else. You know, what's coming up for some people who have become independent of some ways of thinking, feeling, people, jobs, whatever it is. What's coming up for the people who are harnessing some high vibe energy right now that they might not see coming? The Two of Pentacles. Why? Because of the Ten of Pentacles. So, we can be doing work to become more independent of just things within us, but then in turn, when some things no longer manipulate us, we will probably become independent of kind of some ways of being and people in our life. And then the nines can talk about getting close to closing out a cycle. And when we work through those issues and we come out with having gone back and forth about the debate, and that's what you did in your Virgo nature, you invested in putting in this work and effort to quit going back and forth. I have to call judgment. And for a long time, we and other people could have had a hard time calling judgment on some people. Again, whether they're friends or family. But, the more time that we're kind of standing up for ourselves and our truth and moving forward, and we've offered, high vibe people would have offered people truth and love to work together with them in a just and fair way. And if the other people don't seem to want, that's not what they want to invest in, we can't keep staying in denial of the truth. They would rather be defensive, be immature, be manipulative, try to use the fact that we could love them or want to be their friend and want things to keep moving forward or things to be more just and fair. We'd like to work it out. The Two of Pentacles can mean I'm going to pick up my investment in them. And the difference between the 8 and the 2, or the 10 and the 2, is the 8 of Pentacles. I'm not going to keep working with those people and investing time, energy, and effort. Because in high vibe, the 8 of Pentacles is trying to move things forward. But the other people keep not wanting to see that truth. So they want to keep doing what they're doing. And it's like accepting the truth of it. I accept you have your truth. You have your comfort zone. You have what drives and motivates you. They do not want to call judgment on those things. To become independent of those things. So we do the work to quit going back and forth about it and to pick up our investment in them. And eventually people work through it, and that can be when some people are like, I'm moving on. And then, we can move on from people, but emotionally, we still have to work through it. So though physically we could move on from people, emotionally, we have to work through that and become independent of it emotionally. And then when we do, that's like the Ten of Pentacles. I have closed out a cycle, and then we come out with this new beginning, and then we're maintaining balance within ourselves. I have, in my worldly nature and my creative inspired nature, the Two of Pentacles and the Two of Wands, I know I have my dualistic nature, and I'm going to keep maintaining balance within myself. Do I want these things in the world? Yes, but I also am inspired by truth and love, and I know my worth and value, and I've learned that if I take action more out of fear, insecurity, lust, greed, pride, ego, there's going to be people happy that I do. If I have my dream, I need to stand up for my dream and keep investing in my dream and hope, eventually I'm going to meet some other people that have done that. And they could be in my present, in my future, or maybe some people I've known. High vibe energy is being a leader in the world. High vibe Sagittarius is kind of going on this adventure and inspiring other people. And some other people might be like, why the hell do I do what I do? And who am I hanging out with? And, why am I not more independent? Why don't I love and believe in myself? And some of those people, you could inspire some other people to get more balance within themselves and work through their past pain and heartbreak and their fears and insecurities and codependencies. And then some of those people might communicate with you that they'd like to work things out with you or be your friend again, or they they could be someone new that you kind of are in some environment with that is like, I think you are someone. I could have been a little defensive because of other people I've known, but as you kind of in high vibe Taurus, kind of keep walking your talk and maintaining your balance and independence and truth and being treating other people the way you like to be treated, some of those people could kind of work through their fears and, then work together with you kind of more cooperatively. But I think as you move forward in that way, for one, you close out an old cycle. You went through a phase of life, you had lessons to learn at that phase of life, you learn them. The truth set you free. You get to go on to the next stage of life to learn more lessons. Look at life as an adventure, says Sagittarius. Life's all about learning these lessons. Quit repeating old patterns. Get out of your ego. Treat people the way you like to be treated. If they're open to it, they're open to it. Get to know them, see how things go. If they're not open to it, see the truth. You know, don't get more invested in people than you have to, kind of initially. Just get to know them. Don't put like it'll define your worth and value if you're a just and fair person based on how they act. That's a reflection of them and their character. Can you be sad? Yeah, that's too bad. I would have liked to work with you more cooperatively in the Six of Cups, but apparently that's not where you're at, so I wish you peace, and I'm going to keep moving on and go see who is more inspired to work with people more cooperatively. You keep maintaining balance within yourself. I'm not going to let other people who are shadowy tip me out of balance. And I'm not going to indulge them because that is why some people do that, is because they really want you to more indulge them and let them manipulate you. It's like, no, it has to move forward in the Six of Wands can be a more just and fair and balanced and authentic way. And if that's not who you are, then that's not who you are. And I wish you peace and I'm moving on. What's coming up for the people who harness a more worldly, shadowy Sagittarius energy? More inspired to look to other things other than love, to be the answer, or looking for love still in all the wrong places because they're on their own journey to get more clear about what their truth is and truth isn't, or more about themselves, or more about the world, or looking to other things to indulge in to make them happy. What is coming up for them that they might not see coming? And some of you might have some different people to invest in, is what the Two of Pentacles can represent. And you're going to be, the Seven of Pentacles can talk about you're going to be careful, more careful than you might have been in the past, about who you invest more time, energy, and effort into. And the Pentacles can also mean, that you're willing to invest time, energy, and effort to get to know people, but you're going to keep maintaining your balance. And again, kind of listening to your intuition. And as you get to know some people and you keep maintaining your balance, that's when some of the people, will realize, shit, this person isn't going to let, more tempt them or manipulate them eventually they'll go away. Because they don't want you, some of them, to be in more balanced energy. And the ones who do are willing to keep working with you and getting to know you. And again, you'll listen to your intuition about who's who. We have the Knight of Wands, Sagittarius energy, the Chariot, the Ace of Cups, the Nine of Pentacles, and the reason is because of the Knight of Swords. So, the Knight of Swords is Gemini energy, which is about our dualistic nature. The more worldly, shadowy people are defensive to harnessing this energy in a high vibe way. The Chariot is about Cancer energy, about being balanced, offering love to the past and a more worldly view of life, or look like love, quack like love, but living more from your mind than your heart. They don't want to become independent of their more worldly nature and maybe get more balanced. They can like more imbalanced relationships, more immature, more codependent, more materialistic, more about them. And they keep repeating that pattern. Well, they're always going to have more high vibrational people in their life. You know, it's just a fact of life. In a world of duality, we have some people in our life who kind of align with us where we're at, and we probably have some other people who are a little more shadowy than us, and we probably have some people who are a little more mature than us, right? They could have some people in their life who have wanted to move forward with them, love them, family or otherwise. But they keep kind of repeating this old pattern, not wanting to see the truth, not wanting to grow up, not want to do love, not want to be more balanced in a relationship, become independent of a more immature cycle or phase of life. And some of the more high vibrational people in their life are going to stand up for their truth. And they're going to tell them they're going to move away and become independent of them. You go do you, and we're going to go do us. And I'm going to go look for the people also who are more independent and balanced and loving. And the shadowy people will probably be sad, but they don't want to do love, or they don't want to be in a long-term relationship, or they don't want to temper their ego. They want to keep indulging themselves, not aligning with their more hopeful, believing, loving nature, and making their life about whatever they make it about, and they're sure they're going to be happy. And so, if they like to live more from their mind than their heart, they're going to keep doing that. If they have fears and insecurities that stop them from healing or growing and maturing themselves, they're going to keep having those fears and insecurities. Or if they're kind of toxic or abusive or full of themselves, they don't want to see the truth of it. So these same things are going to keep happening in their life over and over. And they'll probably just keep staying in denial of it. And some of those people, you know, the devil tries to create the illusion, like the devil wants to be God, right? Wants people to view them as God. You'll be happy. Make your life about these things. Make your life about me. Your dreams will come into reality. But the devil lies. The devil isn't really planning to bring that dream into reality. They want to be indulged. They want it to be more about them or more about these other things. That's why they get in it. That's why they want other people to get in it. And that's why they stay in it. And what they don't see coming is because they're unwilling to see the truth. Other people see the truth of them, and the more high vibrational people leave their life. But there's always other people who have lessons to learn from them, and that's kind of what they're counting on. But the people who ultimately could be a core foundation that they surround themselves with or willing to stay in a relationship with, they're not going to be more emotionally mature, stable, grounded, balanced people because they don't, you know, the devil can be jealous of people like God, right? If you look at God as being more independent, more balanced, not saying you're God and they're the devil, but, you know, what happens at the big picture happens at the smaller picture. They get jealous and envious of people who are more independent, who are more authentic and loving and free. Wow, how did you free yourself from things that manipulated you? They don't understand it because all those things still manipulate them, but they think they're so smart. Well, the people they're ultimately going to be in a relationship with are probably other people who really aren't like to look like they're loving and that they're stable and grounded and mature, but they're not. They're more immature. So it's like people who try to present themselves maybe more like a king, but they're really knights. And the people who really were who they said they were, because in tarot we have to learn lessons at the level of a page, of a knight, of the kings and the queens, the emperor and the empress, and the hierophant and the high priestess. These people try to present themselves like they're a king, but they still have these journeys to go on of learning these lessons at a stage of life of being a knight, in a way, right? But they don't want to see the truth of it. They like to keep buying into the illusion that they're a more emotionally mature, stable, grounded person than they are. But some of these people could have a hard time in being held accountable for their actions. They do invest in more immature ways of being in a relationship, and they kind of justify it as being just and fair. They're just looking for other people who will agree with them. And everybody who's kind of shadowy probably has some people in their life who kind of keep indulging them in their shadowy ways of being, and they're just looking for the next people to be the people to indulge them that way because they're used to other people indulging them. Maybe like some friends or family, right? And there'll be people who will, but those people might do it more for the status, the ego, or the image, or out of their own, they're on their journey of learning lessons too. And I think that would be just and fair to be in relationships with people who are more like them. Let you both be kind of deceptive and manipulative and prideful and egotistical and immature and stubborn and not willing to take accountability for your actions. While you guys are doing that, the other people are going to be in more emotionally mature, balanced, inspired, self-aware, insightful, inspired by love relationships. And these people still have these lessons to learn. So they're going to have to repeat a pattern until they are willing to hold themselves accountable and realize that the way they're going about things don't quite work out the way they want. And maybe they had some lessons to learn. But some of them will never do that. And they'll keep, nope, this is it. This is what I want to make my life about. Teach your own. And probably other people who say, yep, that's my truth too. I want to make my life about that. And you moved on because you were there and you knew that wasn't your truth. You didn't enjoy it. It made you sad. And it made you feel like you were missing an opportunity in love because it was more of about these things or them or whatever and not really love. So you became independent of it and picked up your investment in it and closed out a cycle with it because you have a dream and your dream is different than their dream. So there you go, Sagittarius. I wish you peace, love, and joy, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.